Venga, hoy es otro video más, pero a diferencia del anterior, hoy finalmente ya acabamos el evento de rosas y mosquetes. Ya este evento ya para mí ya está terminado. Me gusta enseñarlo para presumir. Lo acabé con el internet más madreado que se puedan imaginar, pero estoy como de ¡ey! Lo logré. Ya compré toda la tienda, ya conseguí todos los obsequios, ya. Ya era su madre el pinche evento miado. Y ahora toca agarrar una legendaria. ¿Cómo no? Necesitamos avanzar las legendarias. Y para lo cual nos vamos a ir a la J y vamos a ver las legendarias pendientes. Braisley la tenemos pendiente, pero yo creo que nos vamos a ir con la de Furina. Venga, aceptar misión. Vamos por la de Furina y luego vamos por las otras. La de Furina es prioritaria por el tema de que pues Furina es la arconte. La de Braisley la haré después. No estoy de ánimos, la haré después.
Hey, Catherine, it's us. Got any new commissions? Specifically one with a huge more attack, perhaps?
Hay de esos que ofrecen muchas moras. La mejor forma de conseguir moras en este juego es haciendo flores ley de dinero. Yo así gano dinero, de hecho. Eres demasiado directo, Paimon. ¿Cuántos más moras mejor? Demasiado directa.
Paimon's just being enthusiastic. We're old friends now, she gets it.
Ay, cuánta confianza. Catherine y Paimon son viejas amigas, así de... Pues sí, la conocemos de todo. Me encantó cuando se revela que es una títere, pero me encanta Paimon. Es una amiga mía.
It's always a pleasure to see our two most avid adventurers again. Looking for the next challenge, I see.
Yay, soy importante.
Actually, we do in fact have a rather urgent commission that is still open. Having read the details, however, I don't believe you'd consider it to be lucrative.
Estoy acostumbrado a que no sea lucrativo, solo divertido. Dime cuál es.
Don't worry about that. We were just kidding. So what's the situation?
Me encanta lo de... Estábamos bromeando, aquí no pagan. Venimos a divertirnos, no a que nos paguen. Bueno, ¿de qué se trata? Ándale,
To
dime.
put it simply, the requester is looking for a temporary
Mm,
replacement actress for their musical. The original cast member ran into some issues and is currently unable to perform the role.
hacemos que Paimon sea la actriz temporal sustituta en el musical y se chingó.
But the troupe has also been experiencing some financial difficulties, so unfortunately they cannot afford to pay the replacement actress.
Eh, es que siempre nos va a tocar trabajar en producciones miadas.
That does sound like a tricky situation. So basically, they're looking for a volunteer?
Claro, y Paimon va a ser la gran
That's
candidata.
right. Our adventurers reached out to many actresses, but none of them were willing to take the job.
Nosotros conocemos una desempleada que lo
There are
aceptará.
only a few days left until the performance. If they can't find someone in time, they'll probably have to postpone the show. And delays tend to create all sorts of new problems.
Me encanta cómo se mortifica Catherine por una obra de teatro.
Got it. Oh, this one's a doozy. What do you think, Traveler? Any ideas?
Caca para vender, eso hacemos siempre, Paimon. A ver,
Even if we
déjame
took the
pensar.
commission, neither of us have any experience starring in musicals.
Y deja tú, no somos mujeres, Paimon. ¿Cómo le haremos para bailar? Es cierto.
If you're interested in helping, why not start by having a chat with the requester? He's right over there.
Uf, el solicitante es gordo, ya me cayó
Maybe you
bien.
can't fill the role yourselves, but you might be able to help him figure out another solution. Maybe there's something he hasn't thought of.
Para vender y financiar la producción, eso le
Oh,
buscaré, ¿cómo no?
it's that guy, huh? No wonder, he looks like he just ate a sour lemon.
Entiendo, vayamos a hablar con él.
Paimon approves, let's go.
Va. Y camino lentamente.
Hello there, are you the guy looking for a new actress?
Wait,
Hmm,
I know you two. Are you really willing to act in my musical?
a intentar buscar a tu
Wow,
amiga.
sounds like we're pretty famous in Fontaine already.
Somos los únicos que hacemos algo aquí, todos los demás están de huevones viendo el agua caer, güey. Claro que nos conocen.
But to answer your question, neither of us have any experience in musicals. But we heard that you're in a bit of a bind, so we figured we could at least try to help you think of a solution.
Mm,
Ah, I see. It's okay. I knew that asking for a volunteer was a long shot.
ten fe en que
If
la
we can't find someone to
encontraremos.
step in, we'll have no choice but to cancel the show. It would be such a shame.
¿No puedes cubrir el gasto de la nueva actriz con los ingresos obtenidos con las entradas? ¿Esperas a ganar algo?
That's the thing. We're not some high-profile theater troupe, just a group of amateur enthusiasts. All our sets and props are very crude. We're grateful enough just to get an audience, never mind ticket fees.
Eso me recuerda a mi grupo de amigos.
If we had a way to make this profitable, things might have turned out differently. But now, it looks inevitable that we'll disband.
Oh, no.
Disband? You're splitting up the troupe?
Oh, I guess the lady at the Adventurers Guild didn't tell you? Yeah, this is supposed to be our final show together as a troupe.
Qué triste. Esto está muy
One
lacrimógeno.
last show. And after that, we go our separate ways. So we were really hoping to end on a high note. Nobody wants things to just fizzle out. Not after all the time and effort we've invested into it.
Te mencionó que una de tus actrices no podía participar.
Yeah, the leading lady, in fact. She's been dealing with a chronic illness ever since childhood, and unfortunately, it flared up again recently. It really drains all her energy, so she's in no state to perform.
Qué triste.
The show just won't be the same without her. But for everyone else's sake, I still hope we can find a way to hold the performance on schedule.
Venga, ahorita se nos
Got it.
ocurre
We
algo,
have a
amiguito.
clearer picture now. Let's see if we can come up with any ideas. What if we sponsored the show? Traveler, how much more are you carrying?
50 millones, Paimon, ya te he dicho antes.
Please, there's no need to go that far. I wouldn't feel right asking such a huge favor. And I can't promise that we'd ever be able to pay you back.
Nunca van a dejar invertir en negocios en Genshin Impact, ¿verdad? Los 50 millones de moras se van a pudrir ahí porque farmear ya no ocupa farmear a casi nadie en el grupo, güey. Debería de haber opción, ¿no? De gástate 50 moras o no sé, 800 moras y tienes chance de obtener artefactos por invertir. Una disculpa por andar enfermo. El dinero no es la cuestión más importante. ¿Cómo vamos a encontrar al inadecuado?
Good point. If the actress just goes through the motions for the Mora, that's not exactly rescuing the show.
Mira, teniendo en cuenta que en las rosas y mosquetes todo el mundo se apuntó de gratis, ahorita nos va a pasar lo mismo,
Should
Paigo.
find someone who will put on the best performance possible. Oh, wait! What about... you know who?
Me encanta lo de ya sabes quién y este de sí, estaba pensando lo mismo. Yo de ¿quién hablan? ¿Furina? ¿Ustedes creen que se va a apuntar?
That's how you know we're the best of partners. Anyway, she should have all the free time in the world right now. She's really good at
Ahorita la
performing, and she
buscamos.
was once super popular with the crowd. Performing in a musical should be a piece of cake for her.
Pues va. Me encanta lo de buena actriz y en el pasado fue muy popular. Y ahorita está durmiendo tarde, tirándose las greñas sin saber qué hacer, picándose la cola y también la nariz.
Who are you thinking of? Sounds like someone famous.
Furina, claro.
Her. You're... That was a joke, right?
Nope. Paimon doesn't actually know if she's performed on stage before, but Paimon's pretty confident that she'd be really good at it.
Estuvo 400 años actuando, Paimon. Claro que se le da
You're
bien.
not wrong there. She has actually performed in a number of big-name shows before. They were one of the reasons she was so popular.
Me encanta lo que dice de, nadie la conoce por ser arconte, sino por sus habilidades actorales.
Even if she's no longer the Hydro Archon, it's not like she's suddenly a commoner.
¿Tú
She's
crees?
still an idol to many people in Fontaine, including myself. I just think Lady Furina might feel a bit out of place in an amateur troupe like
Pero
ours.
quieren que la obra siga adelante, ¿verdad? ¿Hay algo más importante que sacar la obra adelante?
Well, yes, but fair enough. I mean, if she was actually willing to, then of course I'd be honored to have Lady Furina star in our show. I'm sure the
Eso
rest
estaba
of the
de
troupe would be
chingado.
delighted too.
Ahorita voy por ella, dame un
I'm sure
segundo.
everyone in our troupe has probably dreamt of performing on stage with her one day.
Me encanta esa mamada de ella es muy famosa.
Of course, it all depends on whether she's interested. she might consider this opportunity beneath her.
Ahorita
No
vemos.
point in stressing about that. We'll only know if we ask her. And besides, things are different now. There's no reason for her to be all high and mighty anymore.
Vamos, hace tiempo que no le hacemos una
Thank you
visita.
for your help. I guess I'll just stay here and wait for the good news. Good luck.
Wait, where does Furina actually live nowadays? She used to live in luxury at the Palais Mermonia, but she's, moved out, right?
En una casa tan al centro. Me encanta que acaba de hacer la de rosas y mosquetes y no sabe dónde vive Paimon.
As it happens, I have her current address here. I can provide it to you.
Que Catherine sabe la dirección de Furina, güey. Estoy confundido.
When did you get here?
¿Qué nos estás espiando?
I came over when things were starting to sound more promising. I thought I should be at the ready in case my assistance is needed.
Va,
It
va,
is my duty to
ayúdanos.
support commissioners in any way I can.
Ay, en todo lo que puedas. Ay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Aquí te tengo un encarno.
Well, now that we've got the address, we'll go find Furina. Back in the...
¿Por qué tiene la dirección Catherine? Es lo que no entiendo. Bueno, vamos a hablar con Furina. Oh, mira, aquí está. Ahora entiendo por qué la misión advertía que no convenía hacerla antes de no haber hecho esta. Pero aquí estamos. Vamos a fingir que no he hecho rosas y mosquetes. Y vamos a hacer esta como si fuera la primera vez. Vive bien cerca.
Did Catherine really give us the right address? She lives here?
Me encanta que Paimon vive en este cuchitrí. Es como de no mames, yo quisiera tener una casa así en la vida real.
Not that there's anything wrong with this place. It's just, a bit of a step down from the Palais Mermonia.
Bueno, tampoco compares, Paimon, casi la
I
no
know.
es.
It's common courtesy to make sure the homeowner isn't in earshot when you're denigrating their abode.
Paimon culera, güey. Pendeja, pinche Paimon.
Okay,
Hey.
when did popping out of thin air become all the rage? First Catherine and now you?
Deja.
I was just out on a shopping trip. I ran out of macaroni, so I went to grab a few more bags.
Ay, macarronis. Ay, invítame a comer, amiga.
I used to have a much wider range of choices when it came to food. But now I'm finding that simple, traditional home cooking can be quite delicious too.
Está aprendiendo a vivir humilde. Y no te cansas, Furina.
Not at all. As long as you have different kinds of sauces in, you can have macaroni and tomato sauce one week, macaroni and bolognese the next.
A esta le encanta comer pastas. Vas a engordar si comes tanta pinche pasta.
Oh, sounds
Créeme.
like you're really struggling to cope.
Es porque ahora tienes que cocinar tú
How
misma.
rude! Questioning my cooking skills. The audacity!
Sí, chingada madre. Paimon, Paimon, chingada madre.
It's not like I have a very eventful life these days. Actually, I barely leave the house. So I don't see how it's unusual that my meals are a little simpler now too.
Ya aprendió a vivir de manera más sencilla.
Besides, I'm sure I could master dishes like la lettre faucilor or blubber profiteroles in no time, if I felt so inclined.
Como para fósalos, ese plato que es. O burbiteroles. No suena nada antojable ninguno de los dos.
Ah, there it is. You don't know how to cook.
Paimon, que te calles el hocico. Paimon.
Not yet, maybe, but... Anyway, what are you even doing here? I do hope you didn't come here just to ogle at my fall from grace.
Es sarcástica de, no habrán venido solo para burlarse de mí, ¿verdad, hijos de perra? Así de, órale,
Let me
que
first be
vinieron.
clear that I'm not taking guests at this time. So if you're just here to clown around, then please be on your way. Shoo!
Entiendo que los esté echando así, güey. La neta es que Paimon se pasó de verga, güey. Perdón, ahora ya entiendo al Vic por qué decía que en esta misión iba a odiar a Paimon.
Sorry, we're sorry. Please don't be mad.
Chingada, Paimon. Paimon solo se preocupaba por tu bienestar. No, Paimon andaba chingando a su madre.
Yeah, exactly what the traveler said. Paimon wasn't trying to make fun of you.
Me encanta que iba bajando el volumen, así como de no, no me creas, no me
Hang
creas,
on
no
a
me
sec, you weren't exactly holding back either.
Ay, mon, que te... ¿Entiendes? ¿No sabes hablar en público? Ay, hemos venido a pedirte ayuda con un asunto.
My help? Well, maybe you're forgetting that I'm no longer the mighty Hydro Archon. I don't even have a vision, you know.
Eso vengo a saber cómo te vas a ganar tu visión. Estoy muy emocionado por saber cómo se la gana.
Don't worry, it's nothing that serious. It's just very specific, and you're the one with the power to help.
Si tú no puedes, nadie puede. Eres la única que puede ayudar. Obi-Wan, eres mi única
Oh?
esperanza.
Well, if that's the case, then fine. I'll spare you the lecture about your attitude just now.
Me encanta lo de, si tienen un favor que pedirme, obligaré que me trataron de la baby. Como diciendo, no tengo nada más que hacer, ayúdame, por
So tell
favor.
me, what specifically makes this matter so specific?
Hey, si Newvillet no le diera dinero, ¿qué sería de Furina? ¿Estaría pidiendo en la calle o qué pedo? Le cuentas a Furina sobre la última actuación del grupo teatral.
I see. I knew you couldn't have come all this way just to amuse yourselves at my expense.
Chingado, muchachos. Furina está haciendo que me cague Paimon y Silas, ¿eh? Nada más con los comentarios de se vinieron a burlar de mí. Bichos culeros, yo creo que eran mis
After
amigos.
all, I was once the brightest star in all of Fontaine, well versed in all the various performing arts. A mere musical is well within my capabilities.
Me encanta cómo habla. Siempre me ha gustado los personajes que hablan acá como que con un inglés que no es común.
But given the present circumstances, I'm afraid I must regretfully decline your casting request.
¿Por qué nos vas a rechazar?
How come? It sounds like this would be a breeze for you.
True, but I have made a decision to retire from the stage.
¿Qué no quieres actuar, Furina?
Although
Cuéntame.
I am no longer required to play the role of the Hydro Archon, the time I spent inhabiting that character has left an indelible mark on me.
Y se entiende, 400 años de fingir ser arconte no es fácil.
Centuries of pretending to be a different person changes you completely. I'm not the same person I once was.
Que yo insisto que no fingió realmente, era la versión humana del arconte, pero bueno.
Of course, that can't be undone now. It's too late, and I have no intention of reinventing myself all over again.
Chingada, Furina, vamos, tú
But at least
puedes.
I can say that I no longer desire to play any new roles.
Así que así es como te sientes.
Paimon can understand, but this is just a one-off part to fill in for someone who's sick. Surely that's okay.
Te estamos pidiendo que adoptes una identidad por siglos, nomás te estamos pidiendo que ayudes en una chamba.
Whether it's a one-off or not, it's a boundary that I've committed to no longer cross.
Chingada madre, di que sí.
If I make an exception to the rule now, I'm just leaving a back door for myself, which would be the same as not having a boundary in the first place.
Tú límites, no, hombre.
So I'm not going to perform, and that is that.
Qué feo me está hablando, ¿eh?
Okay, guess there's no convincing you. Well, is there anything else we can do to help out the troupe? Otherwise, they'll just have to disband without any fanfare.
Hablar con Ayaka.
Do you know any other actors who might be interested in the role?
A ver. Chingado, Furina, no sé
Short
si.
and to the point. Okay.
I've never been great at maintaining relationships. Besides, anyone I've ever worked with probably couldn't wait to get rid of me.
La diva le dicen.
Since I'm just an ordinary person now, they'll probably just laugh in my face if I go asking them for help.
No deberías pensar lo peor de la gente. ¿Y quién te ha dicho que no puedes tener una salida de emergencia? Comida de emergencia, Paimon, también eres.
True, but I mean, could you even blame them? I show up out of the blue, begging and groveling for their help with a show they won't even get paid for? Ooh, no way.
I'm dying from embarrassment just thinking about it.
Nope, not happening.
No voy a ir a rebajarme ante la basura de personas con las que he trabajado para decirles que no van a cobrar por hacerlo gratis.
Well, is there anything else we can do? This performance really means a lot to the guy we're working for.
Have I not made myself clear? You're barking up the wrong tree. I don't want this job, nor do I know of anyone else who would.
Es tu misión, mujer. Me encantó lo de es que hablo en English, lo que papi. No soy la persona que buscan, ni puedo, ni quiero ayudar.
Sorry. I didn't mean for that to sound so harsh. I wish I could help, really. But if I thought I had the answer to this
Gran
problem,
meme.
I would have said so by now.
Ven, esto ocurrirá
It's
algo.
all right, Furina. Paimon just wanted to make sure we tried everything. Oh, everyone in the troupe will be so disappointed.
Pensemos en un plan B, como ponerte peluca y que tú bailes. Pero vamos. Me encanta que Furina se porte como que más humilde, más tranquila. No es tan exagerada su actuación, es como más controlada.
Yeah, I guess that's all we can do now. All right then, we'll see you around, Furina.
Sí se ve más vulnerable, pero me gusta más esta Furina vulnerable.
Toodaloo to you, too. I'm going home to take a rest now.
Volveré a dormir hasta tarde. Que les vaya bien, muchachos. Pues nos vamos. Y se regresa a su casita. Bamboleando esas piernotas. Regresa e informa sobre la posición de Furina. Pues vamos.
It's too bad, but we have to respect Furina's decision. Maybe the thought of performing brings up too many painful memories now.
Uy, recuerdos dolorosos. A ver qué dicen acá. Oh, llegó alguien más.
Huh?
Hay una
What's
más.
going on? Are they arguing?
Veo waifus en todas partes ya, güey.
That's
Lo que tiene
besides
venir
the
al
point.
pueblo.
I'll ask you again. Why did you start looking for a replacement without my consent? When did I tell you I'm going to take a step back?
Uy, sí, cuando he dicho que Dolphy no puede actuar, pendejo.
You didn't need to say it. We've known each other for how long now? We know the signs. But you never tell us about your illness, even when it's clearly flaring up.
And that gives you the right to make a decision on my behalf?
Shortly after you left, the troupe's lead actress came to the Adventurers Guild. She believes that she's healthy enough to perform.
Venga, yo le creo.
Excuse me, but can you both take a moment to discuss something else for now? The adventurer assigned to your commission has returned.
Sorry, I was just dealing with a little misunderstanding. So, how did your conversation with Furina go?
Cara.
Sadly, it's a no from her. We tried to persuade her, but she wasn't having it. She doesn't want to play the role for personal
Anda
reasons.
cara. Esa que no le gusta actuar ya.
I
Cara.
see. Well, circumstances have changed a little, so maybe that's not such bad news after all. You
Yay.
see, our leading lady has just informed me that she's well enough to make it to the show after all. Staging the musical with the full original cast was always the dream, of course.
Yay.
Sounds like everything worked itself out then.
No nos van a pagar porque no hicimos nada. Yuki. Imagínate si hubiéramos convencido a Furina para que lo hiciera solo para que se dé cuenta que no la necesita. Y justo está atrás, ¿o qué
Yeah,
pedo?
she'd be livid. We'd get the scolding of a lifetime.
Jeez, is Lady Furina really so harsh with people?
Nah, pues enojaría.
Only joking. Calm down. So, guess we can consider this case closed now, huh? Despite the fact that we failed to complete the commission, we were still racking our brains for ideas on the way back here.
Ponerme peluca y actuar yo a huevo. Claro, lo haría siempre.
Look, there's no point arguing with you about this anymore. You've made yourself very clear, so I'll stop looking for a replacement. This is the last chance we have, though. If your illness flares up again, there won't be time to find anyone to replace you.
Confía en tus amigos, lo oye, que eso te falta confiar, chica. Ay,
So, are you absolutely sure you'll be able to handle it? The whole team is putting everything they have into this final performance. We have to make sure it goes ahead.
Yes, I'm completely confident. I've been taking a new medication from the doctor, and it's working brilliantly. I'll definitely be able to tough it out until the performance day.
Vas a armar de comer todo bien, todo vas a ver, va a durar hasta la actuación. Me vas a ver actuar bien.
I share everyone's desire to commemorate all our years as a troupe with a proper farewell show. So the last thing I want is to be left out.
Yay.
Every one of us thinks of this troupe as their home, myself included.
Oh.
You're right. I'm sorry. I let myself get too worried about the show. I should have asked for your permission first.
All's well that ends well. Sounds like the show will go on.
Yay. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Ahora qué pasó? ¿Quién viene?
Sure.
Estoy espiando detrás del apilador. ¿Por qué la agarras de la mano? No seas así.
I was just passing by because I realized I forgot a couple of items on my shopping list.
Esa es violencia doméstica. Te voy a demandar. Dile eso, Furina. Ándale, pégale, pégale.
All right, I'm coming. No need to drag me.
¿Qué cosa? Se tira de una mujer. Al menos que ella lo pida.
Hello, one and all. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation just now.
No pude evitar espiarlos detrás del aparador.
Furina? Didn't you say you were gonna take a rest at home? What are you doing here?
I was just ever so slightly concerned about the situation you mentioned. Yes, a teensy bit concerned. That's all.
Gran forma de decir, no tengo nada mejor que hacer.
When you came to talk with me earlier, I jumped right to explaining my position and said some strongly worded things.
Como si se hubieran portado bien este par de idiotas.
And all before I even had a full grasp of the situation. Anyway, I just feel a bit bad about how it went. I'm sorry, Paimon.
Oh.
Oh, it's totally fine. Paimon didn't take any of that personally.
Pues, ¿por qué no has venido directamente?
You really have a knack for asking the most uncomfortable questions, don't you?
Sí, de cállate, pendejo, es que no entiendo las preguntas.
I felt very sheepish, having had a change of heart after flatly refusing you. And then, to make matters worse, you caught me.
Qué poco empáticos son, muchachos.
But in any case, it sounds like the issue has already been resolved.
Yay!
When they said they were gonna ask for your help, I almost had a heart attack. I mean, how could we be worthy of having Lady Furina star in our show?
Como si tuviéramos para pagar.
There's no need to think like that. And no need to keep addressing me as lady. Just Furina is fine.
La humilde le dicen, la humilde.
I was wondering, if this troupe is so important to all of you, why does it have to disband?
A ver, cuéntenme sus problemas.
If the difficulties are purely financial, then there must be a solution. You could put the shows on pause while you look for a sponsor, for instance.
Ah, va. Oye, no suena mal.
Everyone seems so devoted to the troupe. I'm sure if you keep chipping away, you'll find a way through.
We all want to believe that, but some things are just beyond our control. Everything's been going downhill ever since we lost our director. She was the heart and soul of our troupe. She kept us going.
Entonces, por eso también le agarran director en Rosas y Mosquetes. La directora.
Her name was O'Reilly, and she was the founder as well as the artistic director of our troupe. And tragically, she was a victim in the serial disappearances case.
Ah, es una de las chicas que se volvió una oceánida en el lago, en Fuente.
What?
That's actually how I recognized these two. It was all thanks to their efforts that the true culprit was brought to justice.
Este fue un gran caso que tristemente no está grabado en el canal.
But still, no sentence can bring our director back to us.
She was a loyal fan of your performances, Miss Furina. They were what first inspired her to get into musical theater. She rallied many people around her who were destitute or had lost their sense of purpose in life, and convinced them to join her troupe. She wrote her own scripts, acted on stage, and mentored each and every one of us.
Cantan las tomas que hacen cuando hablan de ella. Esa, por ejemplo, está muy chida.
People loved our performances back then. We seemed to be going from strength to strength. Things were really looking up for us.
And then
Oh,
disaster struck.
Yeah. After that, the entire troop fell into disarray.
le dieron su brújula moral.
None of us know anything about script writing, let alone how to handle the business side of things. We've been doing the best we can, but despite our efforts, things are slowly but surely falling apart. It's agonizing, but ultimately, we'd rather end things now on our own terms than stick it out to the bitter end and watch all our dreams turn to dust.
Trasta
Oh.
historia. Catrasta.
What a terrible waste. A gifted artist from humble beginnings who achieved so much and no doubt had much more to give.
Oh,
And then I suppose it's fair to say then that this final show, besides being your farewell to the stage, is also your final gift for her?
un pequeño tributo para la persona que se fue.
Yes, exactly. We all miss her terribly.
Well, good thing I followed the traveler here. After hearing this tragic tale, I can no longer stand by and do nothing.
Una forma de decir, es mi culpa que esto haya pasado.
Furina.
I know what you're thinking, but I by no means plan to cross the boundary I've set for myself. Besides, they're no longer looking for a replacement anyway.
Ahora quiero una directora, her director.
I can, however, provide some artistic guidance from the vantage point of a highly experienced audience member.
Gran forma de decir, no tengo nada más que hacer.
But only if you feel this is something that would help, of course.
Oh, qué humildad.
Most definitely. We'll take any guidance that you can give.
We unfortunately don't have any budget for a consultant, though. Will that be a problem?
I don't need any compensation. All I'd ask in return, if you're willing, is that you tell me some more about the life and work of your late director.
Toda la misión va a ser la lección de la gente que se ha ido, no se va, al menos que lo olvidemos. Va a ser ese pedo de no hay que recordarlo.
Something I've begun to realize since my departure from the opera Epicles is that there's a lot you don't see when you observe everything from on high.
Es
The
verdad.
law only judges criminal behavior and does not weigh human emotion. The court's verdict can settle the question of criminal liability, but what about all the unresolved emotions of the parties involved? What happens to them?
Puede que el veredicto provoque una catarsis emocional. Se derramaron y fluyen como el agua hacia un lugar lejano.
An interesting answer. But if you ask me, I think all emotion shall ultimately return home to the heart and slowly settle with the passage of time. Take, par exemple, how this troupe pines for their late director. Things such as this I have never witnessed before, and so I should like to observe, perchance to understand.
Ba, 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 ba.
Still a fan of your old dramatic monologues then, huh? You just want to get back in on the action, don't you?
Que te calles, pero es que no entiendes que hablan de sentimientos y otras llamadas. Pinche Paimon.
No. This is a completely different situation. Pearls before swine.
Ahora entiendo por qué Vic dice que iba a odiar esta parte Paimon.
Fine, it's Paimon!
Paimon está pendeja, cállate.
Would you be willing to join me? Come on, take a break from adventuring to listen to a story.
Bueno, está bien, pero ¿por qué eres tú?
Thank you all so much. Our director was a huge fan of Miss Furina's performances, as of course we all are.
Y todos somos
All right,
fans.
follow me. We'll go to our usual practice space. Please excuse the size. It's a little on the smaller side.
Si cabe el Outweek, que se ve que no come verduras, cabemos todos, güey. Venga, vamos con la Outweek. Vayamos con el Outweek, vayamos con el Outweek. Está del otro lado de la ciudad, ¿verdad? Ay, cabrón, que tengo teletransporte, distribuidos por todas partes. Mira, ya llegamos al lugar. Ahí está. A ver, entonces es por acá. Entra al lugar del ensayo. Ah, es un interior. Supongo que exclusivo de la misión. No esperaba que hubiera interiores en la misión. Uf, vean nada más ese bonito chelo.
Huh?
Chelo, perdón.
Lady Furina?
Burrout.
What's Lady Furina doing here?
Ya sacan más.
Hello all. Allow me
Ay,
to
güey.
explain. As of today, Lady Miss Furina will be supporting our production of The Little Oceanid in the role of artistic consultant.
Va a ser la hair director.
These two over here are the ones that made it possible. They kindly reached out to Miss Furina on our behalf. I'm sure they need no introduction.
Venimos acá, nos pagan porque conseguimos a la
You bet!
directora.
That was the trial of the century!
Yay.
You helped bring our director's murderer to justice. We can't thank you enough.
Yay.
Please don't mention it. We're just here to join in on the fun.
Solo hemos venido a hacer una misión.
So, you were saying the Little Oceanid?
Yeah, that's the name of our final show. It's an unfinished script left behind by our director. One of our
Oh,
greatest regrets is that she never got to complete it. So, if we can bring it to the stage and make it a successful show, we can all take some solace in that.
una obra
Wait,
inconclusa.
but if it's not finished, then...
Encontrar a una actriz no es el único problema, ¿verdad,
Yeah.
muchachos?
We've been battling issues on every front, trying to realize this dream. Anyway, let me give you a quick summary of what the story's all about. The
A ver, ¿de qué
protagonist of the
trata?
story is a young Oceanid who transforms herself into human form, despite the protests of her family.
Oh, como todos nosotros.
She longed to live just like any other human. And sure enough, she found friendship and even love. Everything seemed perfect.
¿Hasta
But one
qué?
day, her true identity was exposed, and her world came crashing down around her.
Oh,
So
no.
far, so good. A classic tale. What happened after that?
That's one of the issues we've been trying to deal with. Unfortunately, this was as far as the director got with her script.
Oh,
We need a
no.
proper ending so we can bring this musical to the stage. But people have different opinions on which direction to take it in.
Yo digo que la
We still
persiguen hasta
haven't
las
decided
orejas.
between a happy ending or a true-to-life tragedy.
Realista y trágico, realista y trágico. Venga,
By
venga,
true
venga.
to life, you mean the director's sudden disappearance?
Yeah, like they say, truth is stranger than fiction. But then there's the question of whether we really want to use the stage to pass our raw pain onto the audience.
Exactly. A lot of the time, people come to watch a show just hoping for some light entertainment. We have to consider their emotional stake in this, not just our own.
Interesante. Sonrisas y diversión, tragedia. Diversión, tragedia.
And one last thing. We're still waiting on confirmation from two of our main actors.
Oh,
The
no.
first is Paulo, who plays the protagonist's lover. He's locked himself away to focus on writing an ending for the script. But the deadline's passed, and we still haven't heard from him.
Ah, qué pauleado. Qué pauleado tan irresponsable.
The other is Villemont, who plays the main antagonist. He took the director's death pretty hard. Hasn't set foot in the city since.
Díganme dónde viven y yo los
He
busco.
did write to us, promising that he'll be there for the final performance, but we haven't seen or heard from him since. So we're not really sure what to make of that.
Ahorita los busco, cómo no.
Although, now that we have Miss Furina helping us, maybe we should take the opportunity to get everyone back together.
What opportunity?
Maybe you're unaware, but your name has always been like a rallying cry for us.
Oh.
Our director was constantly singing your praises. All of us look up to you as a role model.
Resulta.
Oh, stop. You're making me all flustered. Although, not in a bad way.
La típica de Chopper de, ay, no, no crees que porque me dices así me voy a poner contento, los odio a todos, bola de inútiles, y nada más con una sonrisota de felicidad.
I suspect the reason they're dragging their feet is that they have their doubts about whether the show will really go ahead, considering all the issues you've been facing.
Hmm,
But one by one, all the obstacles are being removed. Now is the time to rally the troops.
venga, ahorita los busco.
Makes sense. Okay, priority number 1. Let's check in with Paulo and see where he's at with the ending. He went back to Poisson a few days ago. Said that staying in a friend's home might help him to relax and escape the feeling of isolation.
Oh, hay que ir a Possant, el lugar que se
I
inundó.
thought the last thing his friend would want right now would be to take visitors, given that Poisson was flooded not too long ago. But I guess it's the opposite. A friend in need and all that.
Como Poisson sufrió una inundación hace poco, como si luego de eso no se hubiera inundado todo, no se ve. Pero no, hace poco Poisson sufrió una inundación. Hay que ir a Poisson.
Maybe you could use some company.
Venga. Furina ya bajó la cabeza en plan de no quiero ir a Poisson. Exacto, Poisson. ¿Ocurre algo?
Nothing. I suppose my presence will be indispensable if we are to restore his faith in the show.
Yay, pues vamos.
So, allons-y. To Poisson!
Todo Poisson. Me encanta pronunciar Poisson. Supongo que si hablo con Braut va a tener alguna frase de
Pressure's on
diálogo.
now. We gotta make sure we're fully prepared.
¡Ay, qué nervios! ¡Ay, qué nervios! ¿Y acá qué dice?
You're off to Poisson to find Paulo, right? Have a safe trip. We'll take care of the troop while you're gone.
Uf, me encantan los maniquíes de los trajes, están bien perros, güey. Oh, está bien, nomás quiero ver sus diálogos. Pues vamos a Poisson. Ahí está Poisson. Teletransportarse. Ando encabronado. El internet no está jalando bien. En este juego no se nota, pero ahorita tengo problemas con el Mirrorverse, digo, con el Speedstorm para hacerlo jalar bien. Y ocupo acabar los regulados para mañana, tengo miedo. Digo, mañana están acabados porque están terminados, pero pues a ver si no tengo problemas, ¿verdad? Aparte, ya pasado mañana
If I
sueltan
remember correctly, this is where he's staying.
aquí en este bonito y agradable cuchitril.
Who is it?
Apenas.
It's me. Is the script ready?
You came all the way here for that?
Traemos enlatada especial.
All right. Forget that for now. Just come on out. We've got some great news.
Nice
Tú sabes.
try. Look, just give me some time, okay? I'm just wrapping up this last part of the script. I'll be out once I'm done.
Okay then. Looking forward to your masterpiece.
So, as
Venimos por
expected,
nada.
he's missed the deadline.
The ending is one of the most important parts of the show. Even once he's done, it isn't final until we've all had the chance to read through and make sure we agree on it.
Todavía falta revisarlo.
Someone
Edición.
told me they'd just seen you in Poisson. I assumed it was a case of mistaken identity, but sure enough, here you are. And Furina, too.
La waifu suprema ha llegado. A ver si no
I
nos
was
pega.
wondering if we might run into her.
Me encanta la cara de Furina de querer verlos a todos menos a ti.
So, you're here for Paulo? Looks like he could be a while, so feel free to take a stroll around town in the meantime. I've made all the arrangements already.
Ya lo he preparado todo. Ni enterada estabas, Navia. No mames, pobre Furina, algo va a
Oh,
pasar.
it's okay. We can just wait here.
¡Que camines!
Thank you for being so considerate, Miss Navia. That sounds wonderful. We'll take that stroll. Get over here, you! How oblivious are you?
No, no la sabe leer.
How are things in Poisson now? Any better?
Things are on the mend, but it's a slow process. Some people may never recover from the trauma they experienced.
Todo por tu
I'm
culpa. No, no es cierto.
sorry to hear that. I wish there was something I could do.
Please, must our conversations take such a depressing turn every time we meet?
Sí, Navia, tú eres la reina del drama. Tenemos que hablar de cosas deprimentes, no, no es
We
cierto.
all have painful memories, but we don't have to let them cloud everything we do. And if you're trying to make a new start, perhaps it's best if you don't bring up the past all the time.
Venga, gran forma de
Thank you
pensar.
for your words of comfort. But for now, at least, I think I should stay with the way I'm feeling for a while longer.
It's
Oh,
okay. These things take time. Moving on from a painful experience is easier said than done, which brings me to why I'm here. I thought you should probably know that not everyone here is ready to forgive and forget after the Hydro Archon's inaction in the face of catastrophe.
no me digas. ¿Quién no la va a perdonar? Cuéntame.
To avoid upsetting the peace, I told the townspeople that everyone here is a member of the theater troupe, and that you are just an actress playing the role of Furina.
Será mejor que se vayan en pocas
It's not a
palabras.
perfect solution, but hopefully it means you won't have to lie low while you're here.
Eh,
So thoughtful of you, Navia.
Well, what do you expect? I am the courageous and considerate president of Spina di Rosula, after all, like my father before me.
Valiente, considerada y guapa jefa de Espina
Anyway, that was all. Look after her now.
Gracias. Gracias, mami Navia.
Off we
Hay
go
que
then.
buscar una Rule
Let's take
34
a
de
look
ella.
up there.
Vamos a echar un
I
vistazo.
don't have any friends that I can be frank and honest with, so maybe she's right. You're the closest thing to friends that I have.
Oh, amigos. Somos amigos. Hemos hecho de todo. Por ser tus amigos, llegó correo. Pero... Oh, Sean le cumpleaños. Últimamente he estado algo ocioso, así que el otro día visité la aldea Xiaoyi. Principalmente porque quería relajarme, pero también porque justo es esa época del año en que se acostumbra a preparar regalos para los amigos y familiares. El Valle Xingyu, con sus impresionantes montañas y cristalinas aguas, es uno de los mejores destinos para pasear. Si en el futuro tienes un tiempo libre, tienes que venir. Ese día disfruté de un paseo largo, parecía como si el tiempo no pasara, hasta que vi el humo de la chimenea y el aroma de la cocina llegó a mi paladar. A finales de año, el mundo busca refugio ante el frío, y es el mejor momento para invitar a amigos cercanos a reunirse junto al fuego. Preparar una tetera de té caliente y recorrer tiempos pasados. Un trago de té ayuda a calentar el cuerpo y llenarlo de vitalidad. Desafortunadamente, estas hojas de té son bastante frágiles y no soportarían las sacudidas de un largo viaje. Las dejaré aquí para que te prepares un té cuando llegues. El buen Shonglin. Se supone que como es un arconte no tiene fecha de nacimiento, pero agarróse supuestamente esta fecha de nacimiento. Mira que no carga bien los avisos tampoco. Maldito internet que no jala bien, güey. Déjame ver si puedo quitar esa mamada del cargando. Error de cargar. Gracias por quitarme, gracias. El internet ahorita me está dando puros pesares, güey, la neta. Por lo menos puedo cargar juegos de Epic Games. Se están volteando a ver feo. Ay, que nos ven
I'm
feo.
so grateful that Miss Navia was so understanding. To be perfectly honest, I didn't know if I was ready to meet her.
¿No la había conocido? No había caído en cuenta que no la había
It's
conocido.
always easiest to just run away from your problems. But that never fixes anything. You can't get around the obstacles without facing them.
Mejor huimos.
So that's why you were nervous when they brought up Poisson.
Son.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared of coming back here. Still, I felt it was something I had to do. As I was saying before, I want to see for myself the things that I never could in the past. I'd be overjoyed if the people here could find it in their hearts to forgive me. But they're more likely to unleash a tirade of vitriol against me. Which, of
Hasta que se
course, I
enfocan en las
completely
miradas feas,
understand
güey.
and accept.
Es probable que haya gente que no se creyera la mentira de Navia. De hecho, nos están volteando a ver
Yeah,
feo, oiga.
I can tell people are watching me.
I'm sure some people here see the idea of someone coming to Poisson dressed as the Hydro Archon as extremely disrespectful.
Oh,
I used to be
no.
terrified of the gaze of other people, especially when they had suspicion or resentment in their eyes. I guess I wasn't quite ready for this after all.
¿Podemos
I'm not
irnos?
surprised you're making yourself go through all of this.
Yo también estoy sorprendido. Puede que estés cargando con demasiado.
I
Eso.
can't let myself see only the things I want to see. How would that make me any different from before?
Tiene un punto.
Look, there seems to be a crowd gathering over there.
A ver si no nos cogen. El bullicio de descontento es cada vez más evidente.
Probably
¡Vámonos!
time we made a move. How about we check out Spina di Rasula's ship? We should have a view of the whole of Poisson from there.
Como que no puedo hablar con la gente descontenta. Mira, desaparecieron mágicamente. Ya nos queda un sujeto por ahí, así perdido. Ja, con el que no puedo hablar, qué casualidad. Todos vámonos. ¿A dónde se habrá ido la gente? ¿Quién sabe? Desaparecieron mágicamente. O Sant. Bueno, vamos a hablar con Reggie, pero no quiero que sigamos subiendo. O Son me gustó como son, la verdad está chida. Me gusta ese mame de un pequeño pueblito dentro de una cueva. Yo pensé que iba a ser una especie de base pirata, que más bien fuera más un pueblito así normal. Se me hizo como de, bueno, no hay
I'm
piratas, pero
sorry.
está chido.
You probably just wanted a relaxing stroll. And here I am dumping all this heavy stuff on you.
Este es tu momento de brillar, Furina. Tú no te preocupes por nosotros.
We don't mind. It's actually refreshing to see a different side of you.
Yay, gran respuesta, Paimo.
Great. Well, I appreciate your company, so please don't disappear just yet. I don't know whether you can tell, but the years of suffering and loneliness aren't the only reason I have a hard time facing up to who I used to be.
Oh, ¿qué otra cosa nos vas a contar, piernas
As I
largas?
stand here by the ship, I can't get the images of the rising water out of my mind. One after another, people were taken by the water. All those treasured lives and memories washed out of existence in an instant.
Me traba todo el mame de la inundación. Y hasta que vemos una misión que se trata de las secuelas, no que sales de la inundación y todo normal, todo
They thought
tranquilo.
their god would protect them. They had absolute faith that when disaster struck, a divine power would save them from harm.
Su Dios estaba en otra parte, dice.
And all the while, I played my part to perfection to convince them that was true. But then the floodwaters finally came, and the Hydro Archon did nothing.
You shouldn't look at it like that. You were only doing your duty.
Este sonido del penito triste. No seas tan dura contigo
I've
mismo.
had to go through so many moments like that for the sake of protecting the truth. As time went on, it got harder and harder to bear. Eventually, I realized I had nothing left except the truth. I became terrified of completely failing in my task and was haunted by the thought of being left all alone, weeping on my throne. Fortunately, we were able to avoid the worst case scenario thanks to the help of heroic individuals such as yourselves. Everyone rose to their responsibilities, and I finally regained my freedom. But on some level, freedom also means no longer being needed. I have no further use to people.
Es útil.
Paimon would have never imagined you'd see it that way.
Mira la libertad como si fuera una recompensa. Más bien has hallado tu
A
lugar.
reward?
Porque ahora al menos puedes decir lo que sientes. Ya no tienes que seguir sufriendo en soledad.
I guess so. Back then, I didn't even dare to dream about having someone to confide in. I was scared of someone recognizing me for who I truly was and exposing the secret I swore to protect.
Uh,
Believe in the Furina you see on stage. She is the one you can trust. I had to keep all my feelings, all my curiosity about life to myself. No one could be allowed to know. That's what I really meant when I said I'm no good at maintaining relationships.
So that's where you were coming from. Paimon totally thought you were just a bit of a diva at heart.
es detestable, Paimon, chingada madre, es que no sabes.
Could you please get off my case? I don't know what's
Pinche
gotten into you today.
insoportable.
I'm making an effort here. You could at least try to do the same.
Lo que dice Furina, estoy completamente de acuerdo. Pinche insoportable. ¿Te sientes mejor ahora que has dicho cómo te sientes?
I do. I once had nothing but the truth, and now I'm finally free to live my own life again. And even though I have no idea where I'm going right now,
Ve a donde quieras, Wolf.
at least the choice is in my hands.
Yeah.
Alright, it's about time to head back. Paulo should have finished the ending by now.
Sure. Okay, let's head back and check it
Me
out.
encanta. Mira, ya acabó rápido. No es como que se tomara mucho tiempo. ¡Uy! Puedo volar. Puedo volar. Ojalá esto se pudiera en la vida real, que cosa que obviamente no se puede. ¿Cuántos niños habrán muerto por creer que podían volar? Eso es muy importante dejárselo
Didn't
claro a
you
los
say you
niños
needed to
chiquitos.
watch what you eat? You're supposed to be cutting down on fried foods, not wolfing down copious quantities of fish and chips, you know?
Dolphy está nervioso, el pobre niño, déjalo en paz.
Come on. It's not every day we get to dine at Spina di Rosula's expense. Can you believe how generous she is? I'm not about to pass on free food.
Lo que
Anyway,
dijo la única.
my character doesn't need to be slim and good looking. That's your job.
Ese es tu trabajo. Tú tienes que preocupar por esos mamados. ¿Yo
Are you
qué?
kidding me right now? It's not your character's health I'm worried about, it's yours.
Y Dolphy tiene razón y te
I've
jodes.
spent my whole life battling the effects of ill health, and it kills me to watch you willingly ruin yours by filling yourself up with junk all the time.
Creo que llegamos al mal
Oh
momento.
no, looks like they're arguing again.
¿Serán novios o qué pedo?
We're back. Could you maybe put your differences aside for a moment?
Ah, you're back. We've been enjoying Spina di Rosula's VIP treatment in your stead. Paulo's nearly done. We shouldn't have to wait too much longer.
Great! So you were discussing your characters, right? We heard she's playing the Oceanid who turns into a human girl. What about you?
Oye, es cierto, ¿tú quién representas? No eres la Oceanida, así que
Me?
¿quién eres?
I'm an Oceanid too.
Ah, caray. La Oceanida tan fea.
He was originally supposed to take the form of a crane, but he outgrew that role. Well, the costume at least. So now he's playing the boar instead.
Le ha quedado pequeño el papel. Qué culera. Oye, no es su culpa estar gordito y simpático.
Sorry.
Pinche Paimon culera, güey.
The boar's not a bad character, actually. He's the one who raises the little Oceanid, yes?
That's right.
Oh.
He has some pretty memorable lines too, like when he imparts some solemn words of wisdom to the little Oceanid. If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Oh.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Muy familiar, pero cállate los hocico, Paimon. Es que Paimon está insoportable, como dijo. Paimon insoportable, dan ganas de cachetearla.
It's the most important line in the whole script. I think it's a symbolic statement about our director's life and legacy.
Oh.
She kept quiet about all the trials and tribulations she faced in running our troupe, allowing us to devote ourselves fully to performing. It was only after she was gone that we realized how tough her job really was.
Se fue tan pronto la pobre Nanda.
You mentioned earlier that the troupe is like your home.
Yeah. I was born with an incurable illness, and once my family found out it couldn't be treated, They decided they didn't want me anymore.
Dejaron de lado sus familiares, güey. Lo peor es que eso es algo muy común, güey. Me he enterado de morros con síndrome de Down que los familiares los hacen a un lado por el tema de... Qué
I
triste.
spent some years taking whatever work I could find and trying to manage my illness with various medicines. But whenever I had a bad flare up, I'd be lying in an alleyway for days at a time. It was like that until the director found me one day. She told me I had a great voice and asked if I was interested in studying singing from her. I said yes. She
Oh,
took me under her wing, taught me to both sing and act, helped me find Mora for my meds, took care of me when my condition decided to flare up.
no.
I know it was all a huge burden on her.
Familia más culera.
She sounds like a really incredible person.
La abandonaron, chido por la directora
She
que
really
cogió.
was. She gave everything she had to her troupe and the people in it. All of us were so proud to call her our director.
A ver, Laui, cuéntame tu historia con
I
el
was a
director.
lost child too when she found me. As the child of a murderer, my parents weren't around when I was little, so I got sent to an orphanage. The other
Okay.
kids were always picking fights with me. They'd say things like, "Come on, you must be pretty tough if you're the son of a murderer." It was just to taunt me, though. I was an easy target, and they knew it. One day, I got beaten up so bad that I just couldn't take it anymore. So I ran away. I lost all faith in humanity by that point. Thought the whole world was out to get me.
Let me guess. Fortunately, the next person you ran into was the director.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I was somewhere I felt safe. And I promised myself I'd stay here until the day the group parted ways.
The day you hoped would never come.
Oh, ya salió
Times
Paulián.
change.
Oh, you're finally done? Get your butt over here. There's someone I need to introduce you to. This is our new artistic consultant, Miss Furina.
Cállate, si nos oyen nos matan.
Furina? The Furina? Oh my god, how did you manage to wrangle that?
Please, the honor is all mine. I was profoundly moved to hear about your troupe and your wonderful director.
Alguien que no
I
nos
just
quiere
wanted
madrear.
to do something to help.
Same here.
Even so, this is just... Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'll try to calm down. Now, where was I?
Vámonos antes de que nos madreen.
Yes, the script, of course. Let me give you a rundown of how the story unfolds in my version of the script.
A
I'm
ver.
sure you're already familiar with the beginning of the story. A little Oceanid decides she wants to become a human against the wishes of her family. She
Ajá.
finds love and friendship in the bustling
Oh,
city.
fondo blanco.
But then, disaster strikes.
Oh, no, algo
The
inesperado.
people start to notice that all the fresh water in the surrounding area is slowly disappearing. The soil is becoming arid, plants and flowers are withering, and the people begin to panic.
Con las asesinas tienen ese poder de secar las zonas.
The little Oceanid, Cleo, and her lover decide to do something about it and investigate the truth of the matter together. In the end, they discover that all the waste and pollution created by humans over the years has caused the fresh water to flee the land, as if driven by a consciousness of its own.
Consciousness? You mean the water is sentient?
Típicamente en este universo sí te lo cuentan las oceánidas.
Water as a conscious entity. There's actually quite a few stories that explore this theme.
Since the little Oceanid is a water spirit, she immediately understands how the water is feeling. She then tells her lover about her true identity, as well as the truth behind the crisis. Her lover accepts her for who she is, and works with her to find a way to bring the water back. However, unbeknownst to them, there were some people eavesdropping when she revealed her secret.
Oh no, un chismoso escuchó que no era una oceán, que no era humana.
The little Oceanid is accused of being directly responsible for driving the water
Oh.
away, and faces the greatest dilemma of her life.
Oh
And
no.
then,
In the end, she makes the brave decision to sacrifice herself to save her lover and the rest of humanity.
Bueno, lo del resto de la humanidad exagera, el resto del pueblo.
But didn't they all treat Cleo like a villain? Why would she want to save them after that?
Well, she mainly wanted to save her lover, plus everyone who'd stood up for her.
Que era buena persona, Paimon. Cállate el hocico,
Through
insoportable.
her love for her human partner, she was able to find an even greater love, one that extended to all of humanity. Surely the biggest strength of Cleo's character.
El amor.
There's actually something else that bothers me.
Y llega Adolfo a
You
chingar la
know the
madre.
protagonist is supposed to represent the director, right? And she never had the chance to become a hero in our world. If we're serious about dedicating this show to her memory, we should make the ending as true to life as possible.
Oh,
What about if the little Oceanid is hounded to death by people who hate her, her lover makes sure her secret never gets out, and humanity continues down the path to extinction?
toda la historia, pinche
That
Adolfo.
sounds like too cruel of an ending to me. And perhaps a little irresponsible to present to the audience.
Exacto.
That ending would be a perfect mirror to Director Aurelie's death, both arbitrary and meaningless. On the day when she went missing, Director Aurelie had instructed us all, somewhat out of the blue, to leave the court of Fontaine and wait for her outside the city. We waited and waited at the rendezvous point, but she never came. By the time we looked for her, the Gardamex looked for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Increasingly, all the signs seemed to point to her being the latest victim in the serial disappearances case.
Sabía que la
The
perseguían.
director was the kindest soul in the world, yet she was senselessly sacrificed for the sake of a so-called experiment by someone who had nothing to do with her at all.
Cuánto drama.
But doesn't the way she suddenly told you to leave the city suggest that maybe she had some sense of what was about to happen?
I've been trying to follow up on that ever since, but all my efforts so far have turned up nothing. Villemont might know something, but he won't open up to me.
Pues vamos con Villemont.
Villemont? The one who's playing the role of the villain?
Yeah. He's been overwhelmed by grief. I think the director's death hit him hardest of all.
Grief? Guilt, more like. Also, I have a hard time imagining that anyone took it harder than me.
O el rey del drama, pobleado.
Because, well, speaking of the play being true to life, I was deeply, madly in love with Aurelie.
Oh, Dios mío.
What? You kept that one quiet.
It's time to be upfront with you all. No more keeping secrets from each other. We'll never be able to agree on the ending if we can't be honest about how we feel. I did tell her how I felt once, but she turned me down pretty much straight away. She said that we were all like brothers and sisters to her, and she'd never considered us as potential romantic partners. Not that it came as a shock or anything. It was what I was expecting to hear. So I told her I said, maybe one day in the future, when everyone's settled into their own lives and on the up and up, and managing the troupe no longer required her constant attention.
Que nunca llegó al
Well,
parecer.
maybe then she could reconsider what she really wanted in her life. And now, that day will never come.
Qué triste historia.
Paulo.
Pobre Pauleado.
So if I'm the one writing this ending, then I'm gonna make sure it does right by Aurelie. I won't let anyone get in the way of that.
En resumen, cállate, tú no entiendes cómo tiene que acabar.
In that case,
Chingada,
we
Dulfi.
have to straighten things out with Villemont once and for all, face to
Estamos
face.
con Villemont. Como
We've all had our differences of opinion over the ending, but those two have never seen eye to eye on anything.
Well, if that's where we're at, looks like it's time to go visit Villemont.
ahorita
Are you
vamos,
ready
ahorita
to
vamos.
face the truth?
Honestly, I'm slightly terrified. But for the sake of our final performance, I'll do whatever it takes. Funny you should ask, though. You really do get what I'm going through right now.
I certainly do. Come on, everyone. Allons-y.
Ego. Yo también, aunque no voy a entrar en detalle. Vamos con él. Una canción liviana como la vida. Busca Villemont. ¿Dónde madres está Villemont? Las afueras del pueblo. ¿A poco hay una casita? A ver. Mm, ven lo que hay ahí.
This is tough going. Uh, Delphi, are you sure you can manage in your condition?
I could ask you the same question. Try to keep up.
Pinche gordo camina, dice. Pinche gordo. ¡Oh! ¡Oh!
Ugh, as if this journey wasn't tough enough already without a roadblock.
Ay, puros de agua, no. No
Don't
mames.
worry, we should all be fine with the traveler here. We don't need to take a detour.
Yeah.
Wait, why are you all looking at me? You're not seriously expecting me to fight, are you?
Pelea,
We're just
pelea.
curious, that's all. I don't think anyone's ever seen Furina in a fight before.
Pelea.
Yeah, but don't you remember why? The Hydro Archon willingly gave up all her power so it could be converted into indemnitium. Miss Furina said so herself.
Me encantan los ojos de Silas de no es cierto, no tiene habilidades, no sabe pelear.
Precisely. And I'm not even the Hydro Archon anymore, so all my power is gone anyway. As much as it pains me, unfortunately, I should just stay put. I'm more like a damsel in distress more than anything.
Ya, defiéndenla,
That sounded
defiéndenla.
so smug. Ugh, secondhand embarrassment is
¡Que te
unbearable.
calles, Clemón! Tampoco es que haga falta tener poderes divinos para esto. ¿Sabes algo de defensa personal?
Hey, lay off, all right? My bluff is hanging from a
¿Qué
thread
cara
here.
de culeros son, güey?
I'm sorry. I got carried away. Please help us out, would you?
Te daré un besito.
Aw,
Ay,
too bad. I was so pumped to feast my eyes on fight mode Furina.
son como niños
Sorry to
ustedes.
leave all the heavy lifting to you.
Don't worry, piece of cake.
Va, habla por ti. Yo vine con mi equipo equivocado. Hijos de su pinche.
Let my name echo in song. Go.
Realmente los hidros son fáciles, pero el hielo no es difícil. Y se fue. Eso, muchachos, acaben con él. Venga, demuéstrenme quién manda.
Guys,
No, otro hielo no, no se vale.
strike a pose. Time to shine.
Demasiados hielos aquí. Ah, me lleva la. Ahí está. Lo chido de Furina es que
You certainly live up to your reputation.
sus minions te hacen un chingo de
Yeah,
bolita que
thank
les
you.
enfrente.
Anyway, the path is cleared now, so onwards and upwards.
O seguimos adelante. Hacen bolita, pero aún así no me gustó que me tocaran hielo y agua. Sí es molesto que me tocara eso.
Vilma, are you there?
Oh, me encanta que Vilman vive a las afueras de ser una casita de madera.
Huh? Oh, it's you guys.
Mm,
Wait, what's Lady Furina doing here?
Bueno, se volvió amiga de
I
la
can
equipo.
explain. We've been rounding up the whole troop. We now have everyone except you.
Furina está salvando la Navidad. Dolphy le explica a Vilman todo lo ocurrido.
So, you think knowing the truth about the director's disappearance will help you write an ending to the script that pleases everyone? I care just as much as everyone else about making the Little Oceanid a success. That's why I wanted to wait until after the show.
¿Esperar a
If
qué?
I open this can of worms now, I just don't want to make things difficult between us.
Cuán pinche araña,
Vilma,
güey.
avoiding the truth will not help anyone. Unless you mean to suggest that Aurelie's death had something to do with you.
Pauleo, cállate los
I don't want to talk about it.
¿Cómo te atreves a acusar al pobre
Listen,
Vilman?
Vimo. I used to think that my love for Aurelie was a point of shame. I never brought it up to anyone. But now, I've made up my mind to put it all on the table. I'm prepared to face everything, to sacrifice everything for the sake. The little Oceanid cannot be complete unless we do justice to Aurelie on an emotional level.
This is why people think of you as not being the smart one.
Eres el idiota del
As you
grupo.
all know already, the troupe was kept afloat not from ticket sales, but donations from the audience. Of course, that was nowhere near enough.
¿Qué hiciste, Billman? ¿Cómo
We took
manteniste el
on
grupo?
side jobs when we weren't performing, but even then, the troupe's financial situation was pretty dire. So, anyway, one day after a show, a merchant came to me and offered us a huge sponsorship. In return, we just had to provide the audience with their drinks during performances.
El comerciante era el güey del
It
Sintec.
seemed like a win-win, so I said yes to it on the spot without consulting the director. It was only when the merchant came to deliver the goods that the drink in question was synth.
Boom. Chan, chan, chan.
Isn't that the drink paddled by the culprit behind the serial disappearances case?
Y recuerdo que indució un estado de euforia. Recuerdo que era muy nociva para la salud.
I freaked out when I saw the boxes. And I told the director everything right away. She was completely shocked as well.
Oh,
She
no.
didn't reprimand me for making the decision without consulting her. Instead, she contacted the merchant and stated that the troupe could not agree to this collaboration. The merchant was furious, berated us for going back on our word, and threatened to sue us for damages. The amount was astronomical. There was
Y
no way
los
we'd be able to
estafó.
pay.
And then,
I was going to sort it on my own, but the director stopped me. She said that this was an issue for the whole troupe and it wasn't my fault. But things only got worse from there. The synth merchant just wouldn't let up, and then suddenly the director told us all to leave the city one day. I knew then
Oh,
that things must have
no.
reached a boiling point. I admit this whole thing was my mistake. I didn't dare to tell any of you the truth back then, and after the director disappeared, I was even more afraid to say anything.
Este asunto les dio un móvil. Hizo que fueran tras
Yeah,
la directora.
I got Aurelie killed. There, I said it.
Hey, don't say that.
you traitor!
Chingada madre,
You
Poleo,
knew
tranquilo.
Aurelie was in danger. Why in God's name didn't you tell us? What do
Oh,
you mean?
no.
You were afraid. This was a life and death situation. We could have saved her. How could you be so stupid?
Please, try not to get too worked up.
Yeah, listen to him. You need to stay calm.
Tanto pinche drama.
Stay calm? How can I stay calm? This guy got Aurelie murdered. She was the love of my life. And he has the gall
Encontrarás
to
otro
try and
amor.
high-road us, claiming that he kept his mouth shut for the sake of the show. How about taking some responsibility for what he's done?
All I can say is I'm sorry. Truly. I wanted to apologize to everyone in the troupe, but that won't bring back the director.
Pinche
What
drama.
good is my apology now?
Pobre pendejo.
I'm just a coward who made an awful, terrible mistake that I can never take back. Beat me up if you want. Kill me if you prefer. It's what I deserve. End my life. So I can meet the director and apologize to her in person.
Get out of my sight. Go, get lost. I don't ever want to see your face again.
Poleo, eres un dramático de mierda.
That's enough! You've screamed and shouted at each other for long enough. Now pipe down, both of you. Can you stop conflating the show on stage with your real-life relationships in the troupe? You keep saying that you want to use this final performance to pay tribute to your director and celebrate her life. How can you do that if you're just using it as an excuse to vent your own emotions?
You're right.
Tranquilo, Poleo,
I'm
tranquilo.
sorry.
On stage, the lead role is the focal point of the audience's attention. And you're all used to seeing the director as the heart of the troupe. But in her own life, her greatest desire wasn't to be the center of attention. I can tell how much she loved you all,
Oh.
and how much she loved the troupe. What she wanted was to build a warm home for all of her brothers and sisters, to shield you all from the storms that rage in the world outside. That's how you should remember her, and that's what you should be celebrating. I understand why you're trying to make her the hero of the story, but isn't she?
Yeah.
So think hard
Grandes.
about what that means. And then think again about what you hope to achieve by arguing with each other.
Tranquilos,
If you
tranquilos.
really hate each other and can't reconcile your differences, then you could just call it quits now. But you can't bring yourself to do that, can you? You care too much about Director O'Reilly and the home she built you all to let go. What are you laughing at? I don't see what's so funny.
Estoy portando seria, dice pinche Durfi.
Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. It's just that, for a moment there, it felt like our director was back with us again.
Que Furina está buena pa' voz de
If
mango,
she'd
dice.
seen Paulo and Vilmont at each other's throats like that, she would have scolded them exactly like you did, in that same stern voice.
Really? But she sounded like such a gentle person.
Of course she was. Even her harshest lectures came from a place of kindness, and it showed. She really was a truly outstanding person.
Me encanta cómo le hacen tributo a un personaje que no existe.
What you said, it really puts everything into perspective.
I'm truly sorry. I really meant for this to be a genuine apology, but I ended up making it all about me and my self-pity.
It's all right. Let's save all this for after the performance.
Después de la actuación se matan, primero hay que actuar.
So, the ending. What are we gonna do about it?
Clearly, everyone needs to take a step back for now and reflect on what really matters. When emotions are running high, things get lost in the fray. The end of the story needs to focus back on O'Reilly herself. She's the true star of the show.
Quizá podamos aprender más sobre ella.
What do you mean?
The Traveler is right. You once investigated that underwater synth base and recovered items belonging to the victims.
Vamos por las
If
pertenencias
you
como
could
no.
find anything that O'Reilly left behind, perhaps we can get a better sense of what she went through in her final days.
You really think that's possible?
Tal vez, no
I
sé.
trust that nobody would object to the ending of the story being based on O'Reilly's true feelings.
No.
Well, we'll leave this in your capable hands.
Y volvemos a buscar basura, dice.
Come, let's pay a visit to the Palais Mermonia. The rest of you, head back to the rehearsal location for now and wait for our good news.
Va. Uy, la ubicación de la misión, no sé qué mamada es ocupada. Yay. Gran forma de decirme, ya aquí le paramos. Una canción liviana. ¿Por qué? Y ahora el sello. Ay, burócratas. El regreso de los burócratas. Malditos burócratas. Como los odio los burócratas. Estúpidos burócratas. Vamos a hacerlo los burócratas, pues. Todavía tenemos tantito tiempo, a ver si acabó tiempo. Los burócratas han sido mi cruz, güey. Estúpidos burócratas. A ver, vamos a solucionar el problema de los burócratas. Ponle el puto sello a la puta misión. Déjenme hacer mis otras misiones. Burócrata de mierda. Habla con Yao. Oh no, Yao está sufriendo. Yao, ¿has acabado ya el borrador? Yo tengo otra misión, pendejo. Yao, chingada madre. ¿Qué pasa? Sí, he acabado, por fin he acabado. Te estoy hablando, ¿has terminado ya con el borrador? Creo que estaba dormitando, lo siento. El señor Reatel y el señor Semain se quedaron conmigo hasta las tantas. Si he podido terminar el borrador, ha sido gracias a su ayuda. Pero tenía tanto sueño que decidí echarme un pequeño sueñito. No pensaba que dormiría tanto. Tengo que ir a ver al señor Teals. Teals, sí, lo pronuncio como Tales de Sonic. Para que firme el borrador con el sello oficial de la oficina administrativa. Luego tendré que llevárselo al señor Default para que se lo selle él también. Y así pueden empezar a imprimir la propuesta y después habré acabado por fin. No suena demasiado complicado. Al menos esta vez no debería ser tan lioso. Esperemos. Además, he oído que el departamento del señor Tails ha adquirido recientemente un nuevo modelo de selladora mecánica. Por lo visto es tanto cómoda como confidencial, así que están preparando su implantación en toda la oficina administrativa. Mira, el señor, lo voy a poner aquí para que se vea mejor la letra. Mira, el señor Royalty me ha dado la llave y todo. Cada departamento tiene una llave para poder activar la máquina. Suena asunto oficial, ¿no crees? ¿Qué no es que eso es un poco más? No parece ni que seas capaz de caminar en condiciones. De todas formas, solo estás un par de sellos y está la cosa. Y está la cosa esa que sella. No, no hay prisa. No, no puedo permitirme más retrasos. Vamos en marcha. Además, es solo un par de sellos, no debería llevarnos mucho tiempo. Puta misión de los burócratas, güey. Ahora el puto sello. Venga. Todavía no puedo avanzar la otra, ¿verdad? Uy. Pinches burócratas. A ver, ¿qué pasó ahora con Tails que se está rascando la cabeza? Señor Tails, ¿puedo enseñarlos ya los documentos? Claro que sí, chico. ¿Traes la llave? Firma aquí, por favor. Pensaba que ya no hacía falta firmar ahora que tenemos la máquina. Bueno, verás, es que hace falta que alguien opere la máquina, así que todavía hace falta firmar. Ya sabes, a modo de garantía. Aunque sí que es muy útil para seguridad. Ay, güey, ya me está ganando el sueño. Si no acabo la misión después de esta cinemática, yo creo que la dejamos. Conocen los putos burócratas, güey. Aunque sí que es muy útil para asegurar la confidencialidad. Ni siquiera se enciende si no se usa una llave. Pon la propuesta ahí y asegúrate que está bien alineada. Luego mete la llave en su ranura. Esta es la gran máquina. Esta es la gran máquina esa que sella. Raymond le parece una máquina muy normalita. Así. Y ahora giro la llave. Un momento, no te muevas. Quiero inmortalizar el momento. No había problemas con las filtraciones. ¿Y para qué quieres inmortalizarlo? Chingado. Cuando recibimos la máquina, el señor Carsix dejó muy claro que debíamos capturar una imagen de todo aquel que la usara. A ver, si cambio el ángulo, nos saldrá el documento. Últimamente se rumorea que van a publicar una propuesta sobre una nueva normativa del uso de daguerrotipos dentro de la oficina administrativa para evitar filtraciones. No me gustaría ser el ejemplo de esta propuesta. Nos deberíamos esperar fuera. Si salimos en la imagen también podrían meternos en problema con todo esto de las filtraciones. Él saca una imagen con mucho cuidado. Bien, ya puedes encender la máquina. ¿Eh? ¿Por qué no se enciende? No puede ser, justo acabo de repararla. Se rota otra vez. Bueno, calma, deja que le eche un vistazo. Él se analiza la máquina a fondo. Es raro, no encuentro el problema. ¿Y si pruebas otra vez? Bien, allá voy. Y aún saca la llave y lo vuelve a intentar, pero la máquina no enciende. ¡No funciona, señor Tails! ¡Piensa en algo! A lo mejor no has colocado los documentos debidamente. Tienen que encajar con las marcas para activar el mecanismo oculto que hay dentro. ¿Qué tendrá que ver eso con que la máquina no encienda? Pues claro que tiene que ver. Si no están bien colocados, ¿cómo vas a ver la máquina que tiene que sellar un documento? Se supone que es automática. Yo no le estoy tocando. Por los 7. Bien, está bien. Volveré a colocar los documentos bien alineados. Ya no saca los documentos y vuelve a colocarlos en su sitio, pero la máquina no enciende. ¡Que no funciona! ¡Sigue sin moverse! No lo entiendo. La última vez bastó con una palmadita para arrancarla. Pues dale otra. Bien, probaré con eso. ¿Es eso tirarnos al suelo de rodillas y pedirle ayuda a los dioses? Cierto, siempre podemos rezar. Le das una palmadita a la máquina no responde. Le das otra palmada con más fuerza. Parece que esta máquina es tan maga que ni se molesta en quejarse por los golpes. Le pegas un buen guantazo con la mano abierta. La máquina deja escapar un chirriante quejido mecánico que te recuerda a una persona que acaba de tirarse de la cama para abajo. Eso no ha sonado nada bien. ¿Es que siento del todo? Luego, como si por fin hubiera encontrado las zapatillas de dentro de la casa y la bata, la luz se enciende y la máquina comienza a funcionar de nuevo. Aunque suena que está en las últimas, la máquina se pone manos a la obra. Bajo la atenta mirada de todos los presentes, la máquina estampa el sello en el borrador a la velocidad de una tortuga ondulada. El sello, tras dar su primer paso sobre el papel, parece tambalearse sobre el documento, antes de serpentear lentamente y por último posarse para descansar. Finalmente la máquina se estremece y empieza a retraer lentamente el sello. Putos burócratas como los odio. Te dije que funcionaba. Pues yo no entiendo qué tiene de genial esta máquina. Pueden llamarla automática, pero es más lenta que el caballo del malo. Creo que sería más rápido hacerlo a mano. Pero es perfecta para tratar documentos confidenciales. Fíjate, no hay forma de sacar el sello de ahí, así que nadie puede usarlo para fines privados sin autorización. ¿Qué viene serie de orgullo? ¿Qué pasa si la máquina se rompe y el señor Carsix no está aquí? ¿Cómo se van a sellar las cosas? Pues tampoco habría problema. Tengo una llave de repuesto. ¿Para abrir la máquina? No, para abrir la puerta del despacho del señor Carsix. Él tiene una copia del sello guardada. Viajero, nos vamos. Tenemos que grabar el borrador para entregar al señor Difford una propuesta en condiciones. No me la hora de acabar con todo esto, yo tampoco. Lo dejamos para luego, ya tengo sueño. Sí, no es hora de terminar. Sirve que la musiquita de fondo es para despedir. Ay, güey, neta. Estoy cansado. Los veo en el próximo video. Espero haber acabado las misiones de los burócratas. Y de paso también, déjenme que esto porque está muy fuerte. Bueno, no. Ese soy yo, ¿verdad? El micro. Ah, no está fuerte. Bueno, los veo en el próximo video. A ver si acabamos lo de los burócratas. Los ven en Twitch. Cuando estos videos estén saliendo, yo estoy de regreso en Guadalajara, probablemente. Se agradece la suscripción y el like para seguir creciendo, como no. Y que se pasen por Twitch cuando estemos en vivo para que vean más contenido en parte exclusivo, también exclusivo de YouTube. Esto no va a salir en YouTube, exclusivo de grabación. Dicho lo cual, bye bye, buenas noches. Buenos días, buenas tardes o buenas noches a mimir, bye bye.